Um, my presentation will focus on community partnershiping and developing childcare providers, an opportunity to link up in a collaborative process. I refer to the PLC process because PLC can work across all areas in community and in the professional realm. So for that, we met to determine the norms of our group, the purpose of our group, and the mission. We invited resources and other providers to be a part of it. So Palm Beach School District was one of the providers. We don't access a lot of the same services that the private and family providers have access to, but we are a lot of times sharing students back and forth. The private providers were able to maintain operation during the COVID. They did not close, the family providers. So we needed to meet with them and get the information and the support on how they sustained and to build a relationship. This population is the East Del Rey population, which is predominantly African-American, Hispanic, and Haitian Creole. There's also West Del Rey, but that consists of a different population. So we targeted the least populated, the least supported population, and brought them together to access services to improve their services.
Mm-hmm. Who else is going to be in the partnership that you described? You talked about the Palm Beach School District is going to be involved.
We have the Early Learning Coalition. We also have Children's Services, as well as two of the neighboring churches who at one time had their own charter school, but when the school I'm at, Village Academy, came on board, they closed their schools to filter their children into Village Academy, but they still do an after-school program.
Gotcha. And what's the intention? What are you hoping to accomplish with this group?
What I hope to accomplish is for us to meet monthly to identify the resources that are needed for them to provide the best services to their children and prepare them for school readiness. Having access to the same resources, the same assessment tools, the same curriculums that are being used in our school district and other private for-profit childcare centers versus those who are for-profit, but they service a lower population. So that's what we want. Also, we're trying to address the need for staffing. And we partnered so far with the Early Learning Coalition to prepare individuals, parents, whomever are interested in being a child care worker to go through the certification program with our local college. And the Early Learning Coalition is going to pay for their fingerprinting and the first 45 days of on-the-job training. So we're really excited about that to take it, because that is one of the major issues that we're experiencing now is staffing.
So the certification that they would be getting, that would be certification for them to work in childcare setting?
Mm-hmm. There'll be the first 45 hours under DCF. Mm-hmm. And then through our FLAEYC program, which is a part of the state and our Palm Beach State College, any state college has it for early learning in the state of Florida. They can work on their associate's degree onto their bachelor's, and they even help them with their master's degree.
Okay. So that's to create a more diverse teaching staff within the schools, within your early childcare staff? Within
the schools, and also for the Head Start purpose, we're doing family self-sufficiency. And if you as a parent feel that you want to be a child care provider in home or working in a facility, this is an opportunity for you to do it. and to get your fingerprinting and all that other stuff cleared through will not be a burden on you, and you already have access to childcare.
Okay. All right. Anyone had any oh, I'm sorry, before I open it up to anyone else. The other two questions were asking for you to discuss the feelings that surfaced as you engage through this process in this specific component. So when it came to learning about, or as we talked about, unpacking authenticity and the piece on using trauma-informed processes or a trauma-informed approach to using DEI when it comes to childcare centers and how it impacts not only students, but educators and families and communities. What thoughts, feelings surfaced for you? And then the second part of that is, how do you continue to become a more inclusive leader in your space?
Okay, the first thing, I'm actually an introvert.
No.
But yeah, but when put on the spot, I can step up and do what I need to do. I think that comes from my church upbringing. When I first started, the whole ideal, my school board member reached out to me, and we were just talking, and I started expressing how I wanted to see a collaboration of our private providers and resources right here in the community, and not focus on just the school, but all providers. And she said, wow, why don't you take that challenge? And I said, oh, okay. And the first thing I did was I had to tell myself I could not approach them the way that a lot of agencies or providers or services do. They send an email and they wait for somebody to respond. I got the list of the providers and I picked up the phone and I called them. And I'm not from this area, but I carried on a conversation as if I was from here. I tried to link up names to see what families have already been here. I found out that there were family childcare providers in home for the last 30 years. So that really opened the door for me to feel comfortable meeting them where they are. Then I looked at the fact of the trauma. I listened to them talk about the fact that parents were still asking for childcare even though we were in the pandemic, and how they had to force themselves at times to say, he has a temperature, you have to take him home, you have to be quarantined for a period of time. I'm sorry, I'm doing the best to take care of everyone. And but they didn't close their doors. They just followed a protocol, gave a time limit, told them what they needed them to do, and allowed them to come back. So I thought that was very, I've had one child care provider that shared that she lost her husband, who was one of her providers in the program with her due to COVID, but he had other underlying conditions. But she did what she had to do. She allowed her daughter to come in and take care of the children, and she and her husband spent time at the hospital, and she spent time at a hotel. That affected her income. That was money she wasn't prepared to spend, but she didn't want to sacrifice herself as well as the parents. And I thought that was very powerful. Going forward, what I've done is I realized that for a number, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. For a number of years, I focused a lot on my mental health. And recently I've decided to go in a direction of looking at coaching to take me beyond the past and looking for triggers or bringing it up and taking me forward. So I'm starting that process, and that's all due to this great program that I just happened to answer an email and I got the opportunity to do it, and I've learned, and I look forward to growing. As far as the providers go, we're still working. We're still suffering with those areas of supervision, access to services. One of the things that we're doing a legislative push to let the legislators have a better understanding of the in-home childcare providers and what they actually do and what they have done through this process.
Nice. All right. All right, thank you, Ms. Terry. So I'll open it up for your peers. Anyone had any questions about anything that Ms. Terry shared with us today?
I'd like to go next, but I'd say to Ms. Terry, I think that's a very powerful collaboration that you put together. One of the reasons I was late logging on this morning, I was collaborating with one of our county commissioners for some needs here at our school and this community. So keep it up. The more players you have at the table, the more representative of your community it will be, and the more power and synergy you'll be able to generate. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Terry. Great job. So Ms. Sharon, was that you're saying that you wanted to go next?
Yes.
All right, so I can show your slideshow if you want.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. All right, here you go.
Okay, thank you. I chose to focus on me for this portion of the presentation because, as my topic states, no broken people, which equals no broken me. And this session reminded me of how I need to live, reaffirmed how I need to live, so that when people talk about me in the present and long after the present, it is a conversation of growth, collaboration, support, and that kind of thing. And more importantly so, this slideshow gives you a snapshot of what I've learned as a leader and how I try to impart it to others, an acknowledgement of the type of leader that I am. So just journey with me for just a moment. I'm being selfish because I got so excited about this session with Crystal because it has really been tremendous. It really has. Next slide, please. So this session has been a reaffirmation of how to live life well. How to live life well. And there's some things that I've come to embrace about effective leaders. They're open-minded. They're change agents within themselves first, then outward. And they're visionaries. The next slide, please. Effective leaders are also able to look at talents in others, regardless of color or other distinguishing factors, and invite them into a circle of trust and influence. I will always contend that people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. And how do you trap talent? That's something that we have to learn in the early childhood industry. How do you trap talent and grow it? I think creating an atmosphere of trust and having that influence that you're able to provide so that people can feel safe enough to grow. And leaders must lead from a point of integrity, trust, and compassion. I think that's that authenticity that Crystal led us into a discussion early on during this session. But you must have that integrity, trust, and passion. You can't let people intimidate you away from those qualities either. Leaders are also collaborative change agents. There's something that children will do on playgrounds. It's called parallel play. A child will have a toy playing alongside another child. And that child may glance at that kid who's playing with the other toy, but there's not that intermingling, that socializing that goes on. And until we learn in the early childhood industry, how to engage in collaborative change. That's when you reduce the collateral, the negative collateral that you potentially leave behind when you finish that change, and you are able to carry more people along in change, thus leaving places better off than what you find them. And that's one of my crucial principles, being able to leave places better off than what I find them. Because from that point, not only has the organization healthiness increased, but its efficiency as well. And people feel safe in such an environment to take risk. I want to talk very briefly about who I am as a leader. And I think that's the next slide, Ms. Crystal. I think we have to come to grips about who we are and what it is that we do well or not. I have a confession I need to make. I'm not good with calendars. I have been in positions throughout my professional life until I got in early childhood where I had a staff assistant that would have on my desk or a calendar to tell me where I go next. I didn't have to worry about that. I didn't have to worry about appointments colliding or anything like that because I didn't set appointments. So I'm struggling to get this calendar thing right. But who am I as a leader? I am a collaborative change agent. Wherever I land, I do bring change, not for the sake of change, but for the sake of improvement. I don't believe in wasting time not getting to the core of a matter. So I am a collaborative change agent. And I think if you were to check my references, where I've come from through those changes, I think you get a pretty good report about my interactions, my authenticity. No is not a response that I frequently embrace. So if I were to call someone and they told me no, I need to find out why. Why the no? Early Head Start gives me ample opportunity to ask the why of things. And I've learned it depends on who's in that seat at that time and their interpretation of federal performance standards laid on top of what they do from a governmental agency. And I'm not suggesting that I'm aggressive. I want you to separate aggression from assertiveness. I'm merely assertive. I want to understand the why, because I think when you understand the why, you're able to tinker and fix things. So no is not a response that I frequently embrace. I'm consistently reaching to the next level. There was something my mother would always say. She would say, you know, when they invented washing powder the first time, they didn't stop. They kept improving upon it. They kept improving upon it. And it wasn't just one person. It was a team of people that contribute to that improvement. So taking that team along, consistently reaching to the next level. Stagnation will kill an organization. Inefficiency will rob an organization of physical resources and will also drive away talent. So I am sold on creativity and genius behaviors. And sometimes you have to train people who are really creative and really outside of the box thinkers, how to operate within a group. So I am sold on creativity and genius behavior. And before we leave that slide, I'm going to suggest once you make an accomplishment, don't sit down, don't stop. Because that accomplishment that you have just achieved is really a stepping stone to the next accomplishment that you need to get about the business of doing. And I'll take this time to tell you a little bit about the county commissioner's visit to our school this morning. If you're not paid attention, there's a thing called the American Jobs Plan that's being wrestled with in DC as we speak. The childcare industry has a chunk of that money earmarked for it once that it passes. I've been slowly cultivating the various federal, state, and our local city politicians to let them know what our plan is, how much we think it will cost, and how it will impact the neighborhood where the school exists. We're asking for approximately $5 million to actually convert and rebuild this center into an infant toddler center, because in this neighborhood and in the 2 census tracts that we serve, the majority of the females in this census tract, 50% or more, is age 18 or younger. So we know that that's a need in this community. So this morning, walking that county commissioner through our property, explaining, pointing out, she left us with some commitments. And we'll reach out to other partners on our behalf to ask them to come with her here to walk through this property. So again, I am sold on creativity and genius behavior. And it's not an arrogant behavior that I'm referring to. Last slide, Ms. Crystal. This is something that I've learned early on. Leaders begin with the end in mind. You got to see the end of it and back it up so that you can understand what the steps are that will help to create that effectiveness for you. My very first impactful mentor in higher ed, my second day on the job, said to me, I need you to go to the university and get 2 letters to support a grant. I had 2 days to do it. And she said to me, failure is not an option. Well, I knew that I could not bring her back a story. I did not want to bring her back a story. And I took it as an opportunity to find out what my strengths were in presenting a proposal and getting people to buy into it. So that led me to this statement from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You got to monitor the environment that you're in. That includes the work teams that you're a part of. And in early childhood, there are a lot of work teams. You got to exercise that creative leadership to keep headed in the right direction. And no amount of management expertise can keep you from failing if you have not monitored your environment, the work teams, and exercise creative leadership. My closing story. I received a high mark the other day, and I didn't ask for it. A phone call came, previous college where I worked. The person started talking, and I've learned to listen as well. Started telling me about the chaos that was reigning there, the changes that were being made, the people didn't know anything about it. I guess this person talked for about 30 minutes, and I listened. And at the end of that conversation, that person says, you know what I said to Mr. So-and-so? I says, no, tell me. I asked him, where are the Dr. Millers of this world who knows how to treat people fairly? And I said to myself, wow, I never knew I'd impacted that person like that, because he never directly reported to me. Now worked directly on my team, but he was located on my campus. So I want to live life well so that when I get to the end, there are no regrets. And people can actually say, she initiated change, she helped me to grow. So thank you for listening.
I love that last part. I want to live life well. Thank you for that, Ms. Sharon.
Thank you.
Was there any question or comments from anyone?
I could listen to Miss Sharon talk all day. Just read me a story.
She's a storyteller, yeah.
She has that voice.
I do agree with that.
I admire her so much from even just from our past sessions. She's always positive, and you know, as a younger person in the field, it's good to find positive mentors
Yeah.
you can look up to. And I like to go next because I'm so nervous that I feel like I have butterflies.
No problem. Thank you again so much, Ms. Sharon, for sharing.
Thank you.
Sharon, I would also like to tell you thank you. That was very informative and meaningful as leaders. We do need to hear that, especially the one with keep the end in mind. So that gives us our journey to travel, the path. So thank you so much for sharing that.
You guys are kind. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the reference for Stephen Covey's book, it's one of those books that will stand the test of time, right? Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. I do want to ask, what thoughts or feelings surfaced for you on this journey? Ms. Sharon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say it again, Ms. Crystal.
If there were any big thoughts or feelings that surfaced for you as we did this journey.
Yes. You confirmed that I was on the right track and that my thought patterns are balanced, and gave me even more confidence for people to disagree with me and still be able to carve out a forward motion. So thank you.
No, thank you. That's huge. That's huge, especially for people that you don't agree with. It's
Yes,
conflict is not confrontation, right?
that is correct.
It's being able to engage. It's not a fight.
Mhm.
It's engaging in civil discourse. So thank you for that. All right, Miss Camilla, you are up next. So let me bring your presentation up on the screen. You can take it away.
Sorry.
You're muted while I'm muted. Classic.
That's the nerves. So you could skip to about the third slide, because I think I did both for later and now in the one presentation. You can skip that one. Okay. So when I first started, I'm going to talk about me and then my experience with the class. When I first saw the invitation to the leadership course, I was excited because I had just had a reflective from my job. And in that reflective, I was having a situation with my co-teacher where I was requesting a change of co-teacher. And so my assignment from the reflective was to find a leadership course. I searched the internet over, I couldn't find one. And then the invitation came and I was so excited. I jumped to it. I sent out, my response and scheduled it without realizing that the dates would actually conflict with my work schedule. So I spoke to my supervisor and she told me that, unfortunately, my work comes first. My job is my priority and I'm not gonna be able to do the session. I was really disappointed. And I reached out to Miss Holly and Miss Chris and they extended to me that I could do it virtual. And as I said in the slide, if you're reading, it was like somebody gave me a pot of gold. So you can skip to the next slide. The first thing that stood out to me was effective communication, because that was something that I was in search of at the moment. As I told you, I was on a reflective, and the main issue was communication. So the first 9 sessions were informative, and each presenter really dived in, you know. And the first one was about the heart of getting better or becoming a more inclusive, assertive leader that utilizes democratic coaching style when leading. I always considered myself as a good communicator. I just felt like I was always cautious of others' feelings while I'm communicating. And I think that's what my setback was. So I would always try to find a way around hurting the person's feelings. I realized through this course that I am an assertive communicator. I just needed to add a few more ingredients or attributes such as confidence and being direct. And I've been working on this with my co-teacher, which I did receive a new co-teacher. I've been working with, you know, trying to be more direct and open with not just my co-teacher, but with the families that I serve, and also the children. You could go to the next slide. Reflective practices was also a topic that stood out to me, because this was always something that I did. I'm always the one at the end of the day to just take a minute just to think back on my day. The difference was that before I would look for the negative rather than reviewing the entire day. I would reflect to see, you know, what was bad about the day basically, or what mistakes I made. But based on this, after taking this course, it became a positive thing. I now not only look for the negative, but I also look for the positive as well when I do reflect. And we talked about change. So when I reflect on my day or my week, I try to find what can I change about whatever I did, or whatever mistakes, or whatever was positive that I can change. Next slide. And it talks about the 5 P's, which is play, pray, party, praise. So I am making my business after learning this to play. I play with the children that I serve, and I play with my co-teacher and even my own kids. And I play with my co-teacher because it just creates an environment that we are both free. Like, it wasn't like the co-teacher that I had before, because now I'm approaching it from a different place. So I play with her, we play together. So when comes time for us to be serious, the ice is already broken because we already set the atmosphere. Pray. I pray for guidance each morning, for peace, not just for me, but for everyone that's in the environment that I'm going to be in for that day, everyone that I'm going to encounter that day. I pray in the morning on my way to work that we have peace, and that, you know, my wisdom will increase and knowledge to effectively lead. And not just to lead, but also to serve, because I do believe that a good leader has to also be a servant. I party. I celebrate my victories and that of others around me. It could be the smallest things I celebrate, and I'm excited. And even for my kids, every progress that they make, it's a party in my classroom. We celebrate them. And my co-teacher, she's learning every time she do a paper correct. We celebrate, we have a party. Praise, I give positive praises to myself and to my co-teachers, to the students, and even to the parents. So if a parent was always late and they made it early one morning, I'm gonna make sure that they know that. I noticed that, you know, you made an effort. Or when the kids come in the classroom and if they have a new shoes, a new haircut, whatever it is, I am gonna praise them on it. If every time they reach a developmental milestone, I give them a praise. And I happily accept my paycheck at the end of the week. You can go to the next slide. And so it leads me to the sessions with Miss Crystal. Oh my God, like this was, when I saw this picture, I thought it embodied everything that the session was. It was the different colors. It represented each of us ladies and how we were different ages. We worked in different departments of early childhood. We have different life journeys, different experiences, but we all came together in these sessions, and we empowered each other. We motivated each other. We, you know, we showed empathy towards each other, and it was a very humbling and enlightening, reflective, and informative and empowering session. For me, I felt empathy from everyone, and I felt unity. I learned from each person. For example, for Dominique, what I learned from her was that, you know, she was so excited about her job. Like every day that we spoke and Dominique talked about her class, or she had so much joy in talking about, you know, what she wanted to do for her class and what she wanted to see. For Cami, I love how strong Cami is, and her expressions, even though some people, you know, as she said in one of her sessions, she wonder how it's coming off, but you know, it shows confidence. Miss Debbie, she is such an encourager. She's always, you know, encouraging. And Miss Sharon, I just want you to read me a story. We're gonna have to get together. You're gonna have to read me and my kids a story. And you know, you can go to the next slide. This session also taught me that everyone has a voice, you know, and that you can express yourself in a respectful way. You can agree to disagree without being disrespectful, and that makes a good leader. It was diverse. You know, we were all different. You can go to the next slide. And I also learned about inclusion, how inclusion and culture as well, how we should be mindful of others' cultures. I remember in one of the sessions we talked about, I think Cami gave an example about how in one of her meetings, somebody made a comment and, you know, she felt like, why would you tell a child that? And it just make you think of how when you speak as a leader, or you have to be careful about the word choices that you use, because it does matter, because you never know who is in the crowd that you're talking to, and or where they're at in their journey, and how your words may affect them. I feel like the session allowed us to practice what we learned in the classes that were before. So like the 5 Ps, we gave each other praises, you know, I feel like it was a safe place that we could openly, I felt like I could have openly shared anything and not be embarrassed or, looked on in a negative way. You can go to the next slide. And then it leads me to my mission. And my mission as a teacher is to be an advocate for children, to always educate myself so that I can effectively assist early learners in reaching their developmental milestones by creating an environment that's full of nurture and love. I think that is so needed, especially I work for Early Head Start, and a lot of these families, they're from so many different backgrounds, and the classroom sometimes is the safe place for that child. So that is my mission, and this is a mission that I'm gonna take with me forever. Like, this mission is never gonna change. This is stamped, and I really appreciate, this leadership course, because I feel like I was able not just to learn for myself. After each session, I went to the ladies at my job and I shared with them, about the sessions and what I learned. And I try to exercise each of these steps each day to try to be a better person, to be the change in Miss Sharon's voice. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cami. Or thank you so much, Camilla. I'm looking dead at Cami and saying Camilla. No, thank you so much, Camilla. There's something that you said that I really, really want to amplify, because I think it is so, so true. You said that you were a good communicator. You just needed a few more tools, a few more ingredients. And I think that's true for not just you, but for all of us. And I say all of us. We came here good. We came here whole. It doesn't hurt to get polished up, right? And that's all this was. It was just to polish us up, but we came here whole and intact. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for sharing. All right, anything anyone wants to say, comment, question for Ms. Camilla?
Camilla, I wrote in the chat, but I just want to say, you have grown so much, and it's so beautiful to watch. I love it so much. It makes me cry. Thank you for the kind words so much.
Thank you.
And that was one of the things she said, right? Was she just needed a little bit more confidence, and we could definitely see a more confident Camilla today compared to when we started. So definitely.
Camilla, I would like to just say how proud I am of you. I just know that you're going to make a difference in our community. I thank you for your effort, and I look forward to working with you much more. Thank you so much for your strength.
Thank you, Ms. Debbie.
Ms. Camilla, I've seen you grow in these sessions, and I'll read you and your children a story free of charge.
Record your voice on an app, Ms. Sharon, I promise you.
Yes, please.
But keep doing what you're doing, my sister. You're destined for great things in leadership. Thank you.
All right, who's up next?
I can go next. I didn't know we were supposed to share our slides with you, but I can, if I may, share my screen, or would you like to?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Okay. I was like, oh, everyone said because of slides. Okay.
So I think Holly is going to make you a co-host.
Oh,
You don't have to be a co-host. Anyone can share this.
Oh,
screen.
well,
You
you can
just,
share
you
your
just go
screen.
right ahead.
So let's see.
Free access. Anybody can do it. I'm the only one that can tell you no.
Okay, let me move that over. Share screen. There you go. Wait. Okay. Hopefully you all should see all the stuff on my desktop.
Yes.
All right, there you go. So this is my leadership implementation journey. So good morning, everyone. So a little bit of table of contents. So I'll start with an intro of who I am and what brought me to this cohort. I'll discuss my feelings when I started the cohort and throughout the cohort. Then I'll discuss more about my journey in becoming a more inclusive leader. And then I'll end with next steps on how I'm working to create a culture of intentionality in my life and workplace.
Awesome.
Okay, so the work ahead. So I am Cammie Hughley. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I serve as a coaching specialist at a nonprofit here in South Florida. And so in my role, I provide this is technical terms, but I provide on-site technical supervision and coaching to 19 schools across both Miami-Dade and Broward County. So I train AmeriCorps members on how to do literacy and math interventions across Miami-Dade and Broward County. But before I get to part two, so what brought me to this cohort? So I'm really big on personal and professional development. And I'm always on the search for something where I can just learn more and grow my skill set and just prove myself. And so one morning in the spring, I was taking a morning walk. And I think it was a Sunday morning. And I was just scrolling through LinkedIn and I came across the opportunity for the cohort. And I was like, oh, this is great. I read over it. And I literally kind of like paused my walk and applied right then and there. And here I am. And it's been a wonderful experience. And so when I first joined the cohort, I was very curious. I came with no expectations because I was just like, I just want to learn more about the field of early childhood and how I can improve my skill set. And so when I started the cohort, I was very motivated. One of my values is learning. I have a love of learning. I like to learn new bodies of knowledge, do my best to master them if possible. So I was really motivated to just learn all that I can and like piece together those pieces to determine how they best fit in my life and in my professional role as well. So it's very motivated to just learn and grow. But throughout the process and in learning more about what it means to be a leader, I became more thoughtful. I started to think more about my interactions with others, both in my personal and professional life, what it means as a leader to be a thoughtful leader, to be considerate of people's feelings, and to extend grace. So my journey throughout this cohort, so I came with some mindsets, but throughout this cohort, those mindsets have shifted into 4 different mindsets. So the first mindset, I've experienced significant growth, I consider. So I have learned to honor experiences. I have learned more about how, when it comes to any field, any industry, or any body of knowledge, people come into whatever space with their own experiences, their own background knowledge of things, and we're not always in the same place. And to be able to understand that and acknowledge that and appreciate that and being able to grow together in that. I've also learned to own my own learning. It's not enough to just sit through sessions and just take in whatever presenter is providing you. It's important to take that information, do more reading and learning and research about it, or watch a video about it and see how you can implement what that particular trainer has discussed in your own practice. No matter how skilled you think you are, we're never too skilled to learn something new. I've also have been more cognizant of acknowledging bias and privilege. Being a Black woman, a woman of color, I know sometimes I would sometimes have the thought, oh, I know this because these are how my intersectionalities work. However, there are other types of privileges that, depending on the space that I wield, depending on where you are, there's the privilege of language. There's, in some spaces, there's the privilege of housing access or access to other goods and services and materials. There's ableism. Some of us who don't necessarily think about ableism, we don't necessarily think about it because it's something that we don't experience on a daily basis. So I've learned to acknowledge my own bias and understanding my privileges depending on the spaces that I am in. And I've also learned to get comfortable, to become more comfortable with discomfort. This is something that I tell AmeriCorps members all the time. And I have to remind myself to do the same thing. Like when something's feeling uncomfortable, I start asking myself questions. Cami, why is this feeling uncomfortable? Do you feel like this is a taboo subject that people shouldn't talk about? Is this information that you're learning in a new way? Is someone pushing back on your idea and you don't like that? So I've just learned to become really comfortable with discomfort and to really think about my own thinking, allowing that metacognition to kick in and to sit with it, acknowledge it, and determine a course of action to lessen the discomfort. So my next step, so in my workplace, I work with AmeriCorps members who work with preschools across Broward and Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And what I love about this work is that we have these AmeriCorps members, also known as tutors. They come with such varied experiences and there are so many different backgrounds. We have some who are recent high school graduates all the way up to retirees. So everyone comes in with different knowledge about early childhood and even bias and privilege. So it's like, how can we take all these different people with all these different experiences, literally people who span across generations, and help them to understand issues as it pertains to early childhood? So in my quest to create a more inclusive community, I think it's really important to build trust. I feel like trust is the foundation in any setting or any relationship, whether it's a work relationship, romantic relationship, platonic relationship, building trust. So that means doing what you say you're going to do, honoring commitments, and I come back to extending grace. Not allowing your preconceived notions of the situation color what could actually be happening. Also, in creating an inclusive community, I think it's important to know thyself, and in knowing thyself, knowing what your triggers are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and being able to leverage those strengths in situations. And with knowing yourself, that means taking it further and understanding your core values, and maybe even understanding the core values of other people. Like if there's a misalignment with core values, that's where some misunderstandings can happen between individuals and even individuals and organizations. Also, in creating a more inclusive community, I came across an article, I want to say last year, talking about inclusive language. And I realized, oh, Cami, sometimes your language is not the most inclusive. So when I mentioned ableism, sometimes, and I'm guilty of saying like, oh, that's crazy. When depending on the setting, that could be an offensive term. So just learning to be very cognizant of the language that I'm using and being very specific and saying like, that's crazy, saying, that is a serious challenge, or that's ridiculous. Like using another term that doesn't necessarily put down someone who may have a disability of some sort. And also learning to recognize, this is the big one for me, recognize and address bias. Not only, and I had a friend of mine who once said, when we talk about issues of bias and privilege and systems of oppression, we oftentimes talk about it from the perspective, from a window perspective. And that's, for example, oh yes, I've seen people do this. I've had this happen to me, as opposed to a mirror perspective, holding up the mirror and thinking more about, how have I participated in these systems and inflicted harm on other people? How have I benefited from these systems in some way? So I've been really reflecting on that and helping AmeriCorps members that I work with to reflect on that as well. So their biases don't have such a negative impact on the students that in communities they work in. And so with that, I want to say thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to me. It has been an honor getting to know each and every one of you. And I've learned so much from each and every one of you. And I don't know what comes next after this cohort, but I hope we all can stay connected in some way.
Thank you so much, Cami. I enjoyed that. I loved the fact that you had inclusive language, because that is something I think we are all guilty of. I catch myself on it constantly. Another thing that I really loved was that concept of mirror versus window. I talked about it a little bit with that that ostrich effect. When we talk about bias, it's easy to dig our head in the sand because we don't want that discomfort. It's easier to say this is something that they do, not realizing it's something that we all do. So I love that analogy of window versus mirror. Anything anyone wants to jump in and ask or say for Cami?
Cami, this is Terry. I want to say that I appreciate you keeping me in reality when you expressed your different situations and how people responded to you, and you really didn't mean what they thought you were saying, but I've been there, and it really helped me to realize that it's a lot of times our culture, we become passionate, and I just want to appreciate you just keeping me reminded that it's okay, and everything doesn't have to have all the dots and the da-da-da. We have to continue the fight. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Cami, this is Miss Deborah. I tell you, I highly respect you so much. I appreciate your intelligence that you share, your passion. What a great PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
I want to jump in. You would ask, oh, you go ahead.
No, I just wanted to tell her that it was a great presentation and I love her so much. And I admire you as a young person and your confidence. And you don't have to change your facial expression because I like to see them.
Cami serves space all day long.
Oh, Miss Cami. Miss Cami, I want to encourage you to continue your path and let you know that many years ago, your personality would have fitted in with the group of folk that I've grown with. So don't let it go. Keep nurturing it. Thank you for that very nice presentation. Next one I have, I got to call you so you can help me out, okay?
So Cami, you had asked the question kind of like what comes next for the group. And I'm not going to answer that question right now because I know you guys have like 15 minutes and 2 more presentations, but I wanted to say that I will be addressing that and kind of peppering that at our graduation. So stay tuned.
I just want to say thank you to Cami too, because I love your presentation. It was so beautiful, but you are a beautiful person, and I love that you stay true to you and that you are your authentic self, and that's really inspiring.
All right, thank you again, Cami, for your strength and your voice. And like Dominique said, your authenticity, never dialed it back once throughout this entire journey. And you were a beautiful model of authenticity for all of us. And that is something I definitely appreciated watching throughout this entire journey, both in our room and during our calls off time. So thank you for that. It's been an honor to witness all of this. So thank you. All right, so we have the D's left. Is it Dominique or is it Deborah? Who's up next?
I can go.
All right.
I went for a more out of the box approach because I'm not good at PowerPoint.
I wouldn't expect anything less with the earth in the background.
But before I get to that, I'll start with the beginning. So I just want to come out and say who I am. My name is Dominique, and I'm an early childhood professional. Before starting my leadership journey, I've always felt that I was born to lead. As a child, I found myself leading. Since then, I've had many people throughout my life who have encouraged me to use my voice and create change. I enjoy leading school projects and helping others see and rise to their potential, or just being a support system for others. I'm comforted by offering guidance and help others, as I am passionate in finding resources and tools and sharing them. When I started this leadership class, I felt nervous that I wasn't that amazing leader that everyone thought I was or could be, nervous that I wasn't authentic, and that there were others who were better leaders than I would ever be. But then the people in this course helped me realize that I was different, I was unique, and that there were many amazing leaders out there, but the best tool we all possess is that there's only one of us, and that's our superpower. We all bring something amazing to the table, and that's a powerful and life-changing tool. This leadership class has taught me so much in such a short period of time. I've learned my leadership style and how to incorporate other styles within my own style. I've learned that there are different communication styles, and it's okay to be assertive when you're direct, expressive, confident, and empathetic. I've learned that as leaders, we should be flexible, tangible, and acceptable because that sparks authenticity and inspiration. This class has taught me how to build strategic partnerships and create a strong foundation for those partnerships. But most importantly, it's taught me that being a leader is consistently working on yourself, because maintaining our values can be challenging, and we need to be graceful with ourselves. I will continue to work on growing in authenticity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that brings me to this. If you guys can see, I'm trying to bring it closer. I was originally going to draw while I talked, but that didn't really work out when I was practicing. In one of the classes, we were asked to draw our perfect flower. I felt that this flower, like all other flowers, looked similar to the ones we were taught to draw growing up. This made me reflect on our growth process and how everyone's growth process is not the same. We must choose to grow. It's a choice, but we need support like a flower. A thriving flower needs good soil, water, and space, and sunshine. For me, the good soil represents not doing the same thing over and over again with the same outcome, because each year we change, just like a flower. The good soil equals trying and applying new concepts. Plants that survive the winter are said to hibernate. When they hibernate, they change and they grow. Hibernation is the reflection process where we need to ask ourselves, what are the actions we need to take to be intentional in the moment and intentionally setting up the moment? There are times to be a flower and times to go doormat in life. We must live in the reflection process to learn to be intentionally present. When we are emotionally invested in ourselves, we blossom. We are lucky to have ourselves, but with the help of those around us that give us good soil and sunshine, we gain gratitude, encouragement, and create boundaries for ourselves. Boundaries give us the confidence to speak out intentionally on what's important to us. And intentionality is a trickling effect. We just have to create a safe space for growth to blossom. And I am Dominique Burnell, an early childhood educator and leader. Thank you.
So I remember, I'm gonna keep this brief because I want Ms. Deb to have her time. I remember, I think it was the start of the second class where you were saying something and you had some serious doubts about using the term leader. I never want to hear that from you again. I think you demonstrated that you own that word. you completely transformed the assignment, and you delivered it in such a way that masterclass worthy. You lead. Leadership is not a one-way thing, and you don't have to model anyone else's leadership style. You create that thing. And I think that's something that you all do extremely well, including you, Dominique. So own it. You are a leader.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right, any thoughts, questions for Ms. Dominique here?
For some reason, I couldn't see it, and I hope that I'm not having any computer difficulties. This is Miss Deborah. I could not see it, so I don't know what happened. But her
Well, Miss
presentation-
Debbie, I have recorded it, so there'll be an opportunity to see her beautiful drawing and the flower and the description of everything
Thank you.
when you watch the recording.
I just hope I can get my presentation up. I don't know what's going on with this computer, but oh well. Thank you. It was a beautiful presentation, Dominique. I love you so much. You're so energetic. You are. I just love you. And thank you for being part of this program.
Thank you so much, Miss Deb. Love you too.
I thought your pictorial representation was demonstrated your creativity. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Sharon.
Ms. Deb, do you want to try clicking on share to see if it's
Okay.
gonna work? And if not, you want to email it over to me?
Okay.
Crystal, can I share something really quickly? I've omitted something, my presentation, I omitted something, accidentally hit a slide. It's really brief, I promise.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
so I didn't give credit to how I made the slides. And Miss Sharon reminded me, I did not create this on my own. It comes from SlidesGo. It's a great website if you're ever looking for amazing PowerPoint templates. SlidesGo is awesome.
Okay.
Or you can ask Dominique to do pictures.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you again, Dominique.
I don't
Thank
know
you for
what.
the tip.
Good job, Dominique. I was trying to comment, but my phone started ringing at the same time. So
Oh.
that was very deep. Thank you.
I don't know if you intend to share that with your school site, Dominique, but the thing about that one is that it's something that you could easily share out with a small group for a quick insert in a team meeting.
Yeah, I plan on doing it. My work's having me do it as a presentation during one of our staff meetings.
Perfect. It's easily to access. Ms. Deb, I can see it, so it's working. You're muted though if you're talking. We can see you, just can't hear.
Miss Deb, I've tried to send you a prompt to unmute. Do you see that? I'll send it to you again. Miss Deb, can you hear us? Because you are muted.
You know, Miss Deb is over there giving a good old training, right?
I can't,
There we go.
We
how
saw
can I-
your screen.
We saw your screen and now we can hear you.
You can hear me?
We can hear
Now
you
we can.
now.
Can you see the screen?
No.
What happened now? Oh,
So don't mute it. Just go back to sharing your
I
screen.
don't know where I don't know what happened. Now I don't know how to get there. Oh, Lord. What happened? I'm using a new computer, so I was afraid it wasn't going to work on my other. Now it won't work on this one. Okay, let me try to share. Okay, show Can you see it?
No.
Screen, there's a screen. Show. I don't know why it won't show. Let me go all the way out and then come back.
Is it easier for you to email it to me?
I do this all the time. I don't know why it won't let me do it.
Gotcha.
I don't know what's going on, why I can't see it. Okay, unmute. Okay, share screen. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, now just share the screen again. Can you see it?
No.
Oh, Lord. And now I've got so nervous. Why? Because I know this. Share system audio. There's my PowerPoint. Share. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Slideshow. Wow. Maybe I need to send it, but okay. I know I'm going through this so much. I don't understand why it's giving me a hard time. FLAEYC presentation, open, share. No?
No. Mm-mm.
Help me, Jesus. I don't understand what's going on. Oh. It says, there it is. Shit. Okay, I just had it. I just had it. I just seen it. I can't believe this. This is crazy.
You want to
can't
try
see it.
emailing it? No, we're not. Mm-mm, we're not seeing it.
Now I don't even know where I'm at. Oh my God. I'm pushing open and I don't know why it won't. Maybe I just need to. I don't understand why it won't do it. I'm so sorry. I had it, so why is it? I don't know what to do.
Oh, something's happening, but then you're muted. So you're sharing again, it's just that your thing went to mute. Yep, now we can hear you. Oh, you muted again. I'll mute it. There you go. Yep, we can hear you.
Why I don't see the presentation?
Yep, wait, you just passed it. Go back and click it. Yep,
You see it?
yep, go back and click at the top. The first one at the top says FLAEYC.
This is crazy because I don't see nothing but Holly.
So when you clicked on PowerPoint at the bottom, at the tab thing, right, where the, yep.
I do this all the time. I don't understand why I'm having such a hard time. Oh my goodness. Maybe I need to get my other computer. Let me get my. I'm so sorry. Oh Lord.
This is just a suggestion, but maybe you want to just talk through it and you could always share the slides with us via email.
Now we're
Okay.
seeing your slide.
Okay, now then what happened? Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you, we're seeing your
Okay, so welcome to the FLAEYC Leadership. And I would like to give special acknowledgement to our lead team of leadership change, our leadership, Chris Duncan, who was the executive director and who had the vision for this leadership change. Holly McPhail, who's our facilitator in the organization of the leadership change, and Krista Morris, who is the CEO of One Caring Adult and a missionary of our leadership change. And we thank you so much for all of the expertise you gave us, as well as our dynamic teachings about expertise and leadership practice and strategies of our special presenters. I thank you for giving your input. Our leadership team members, we could not have done this without a team approach to enhance our team leadership growth, and this is all of our members. Thank you. Life is about growing and improving and getting better by Conor McGregor. And throughout this change, we had so many emotions, so many self-reflections. And we had to learn how to change, how to grow, and how to self-reflect. And along with that came the emotions. And what does the leadership mean to you? Well, we came together as a team, and these are some of the what leadership meant to us as a group: mentoring, empowering, facilitating, accountability, partnership, and equal voice. Okay, it had some effects in it, but it's not working, so we'll just keep going as much as we can. Okay, I need to go to the slideshow. Okay, so as we traveled through, and it put, what does leadership mean to you? And this is the same slide. So we did mentoring, empowering, facilitating, accountability, partnership, and equal voice. And as we continue our journey, we talked about what type of leaders that we are or have recognized, and is proactive versus reactive, systematic, intentional, reflective, inclusive, hierarchy, or data driven. And as we collaborated together on that, we learned that a leadership who is competently humble is able to establish a true culture of continuous quality improvement. And then we talked about the art of public speaking. And this resonated so close to me. As you see, I struggle sometimes. Our guest speakers know how to engage and move. And we got 7 key rules for public speaking. Know your audience, know who you're talking to. What are we trying to reach? It's all about relationships, building those relationships throughout the presentation. Communicate your purpose, understand where your intentionality is. Do not neglect your body confidence. Show off that you're confident and competent to know this information. Diversify your vocalization and know your skills. Preparation is paramount. And the power of reflective practices became very resonate very close to me, because I really believe that we have to reflect on where we're at, our strengths first, rather than just talking about where we need to go. And then we work slowly on where we need to go. So leadership is the ability to translate your vision into reality. And this is where we talked about our pearls of vision, which is pray, plan, pray, play, party, praise, and fair play. And I really do believe in starting my day every day with prayer. Guide me, Lord, where I need to be, who I need to touch, or how can someone touch me? Plan, what are we going to do? Play, interact with others, have fun while you're learning. Party, celebrate our successes. Praise, I'm good about giving praise. I really think that our hardworking professionals need to be praised. And I also advocate for fair pay. And I believe that's why we're in the crisis that we are in right now, is because we need to advocate for our educators and our support teams and all of our professors to get fair pay. And so as we continue the journey, we talked about leadership style, and and we went through the steps of leadership wisdom, leadership identity, reflection of leadership, leadership brand. What makes you a leader? And as I look through this chart, I do think that I feel that I'm really a transformational leader. I like to model the way. I like to walk my talk. I encourage from the heart. I really believe in giving all you can do. I inspire my shared vision with others. I love to talk about early childhood. I enable others to act, share that information, and give them the shared vision and challenge the process. And then we come to this great workshops, or the DEI workshops, from our great love of Crystal Morris. And she talked about emotional intelligence. And it consists of a range of fundamental skills that allow you to confidently respond to people in changing situations. And we learned so many strategies through that. Managing the way you respond to events and your ability to communicate effectively is effective is essential for leaders of organizational change and for managing personal change. Okay, so as we went through that, we did self-reflection, and it came from my heart. Our values, our traditions, passion, and expectations. How do we value what we're doing? Do we value our environment, traditions? Are we including traditions in our teachings? Have that passion, share that passion with others, and share your expectations. And then we go into self-awareness. This is really where it was very emotional with me, because as you see that we have different layers of our feelings, and understanding the effects of emotions and identify our negative triggers can help us identify and manage our feelings. A negative trigger is an event that produces a stressor's response. And this is where it really helped me identify what I was feeling in the past, and how I wasn't really being motivated because of the different stresses that we was intentionally doing. Fight, when we some people fight. Some people just, were very reactive to fighting. Others flight. They just go away. They don't act. The one that I really resonated too much was Fawn, where we start being people pleasers. It was very hard for me. So I knew that I couldn't continue that. and I was freezing, just shutting down, not really sharing the expertise that I have or the passion. And as we continued on with our journey, I really learned how group connection is the experience of feeling close and connected with others. Build your leadership to be influential, passionate, and meaningful. And that the purpose is inclusive and equitable. And in this picture, I think it was one of our most famous, as always, I've always admired, is Martin Luther King. I really was involved with his change. And then when President Obama came to effect, it was really meaningful to me. At the point I was in tears because I really felt like change is coming. And then another resonation I had to really realize, am I empowering or am I enabling? Because I feel so hard about, I feel so strong about empowering others, but I don't want to enable them to stay at the same level. So this particular session, it was great. The sharing and the feeling each team member's perspectives was an enlightening and informative experience that built empathy, shared information, reviewed personal perspectives, and we discovered our own personal biases. And as we did that, we understand our personal biases and how it affected our leadership. And these are a number of biases that we discussed. And the one that really meant a lot to me was the Dunning-Kruger effect, and how people can perceive a concept to be very simplistic because their knowledge is lacking. How often do we see that out there? If they're not willing to reach out and listen to other perspectives, if they're just trivializing experiences because they haven't had the experience. And that's very important to understand. And so all of this has made me commit to my personal statements of commitment, my legacy, how I want to be influential into someone who's consistently shown an optimal level of expertise in early childhood education, and share that through trainings and teaching practices, coaching and mentoring. I believe and strive to do my daily best to motivate and provide empowerment and positive affirmations to all people in my community. My vision is to all children, families, and early educators have equitable access to high quality learning that is intentional to the individual social, health, and academic progressive needs. And my mission, to enhance our early childhood communities through high quality training, coaching and mentoring early educators and leaders, to empower families, educators, and leaders with advocacy and culturally responsive life strategies. And that is the end of my presentation.
I am so glad you were able to fix it.
It was a mess.
We would have missed out on a treat if we weren't able to get this right. I am so happy we were able to fix it.
I really don't know what happened, but I was on this other computer. I shouldn't have changed computers. I thought it was bigger. So yeah, I learned a lesson.
But thank you so much for sharing that. You are the embodiment of a transformational leader, Miss Debbie. I can't be telling you anything that is new, but your legacy will be one that is in the books. And your mission and vision is evident. It is very, very, very evident. So thank you so much for sharing. I know we're a little bit over time, but anything anyone wants to share for Miss Debbie?
Thank you, Miss Debbie.
No, I'm not on screen anymore, but I just wanted to share with you the super quick thing that just really spoke to me was if this wasn't just a personal journey, and that the impact of building relationships with people, that was a huge kind of takeaway from me listening to it, that you guys have gone on this journey together, and to the continuation of wanting to stay together and all of that. Just I feel very affirmed in this kind of decision to help support this work, and thank you for sharing everything and the patience with your yourself and your team here. It was just beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Sharon, you were saying something?
I was just telling Miss Debbie, thank you, thank you, thank you. That warmed my heart and my mind.
Thank you, Miss Sharon. You have given me so much. Thank you.
I'm happy to have met you, Miss Deb. I can't wait to build our relationship. I feel like you are a great mentor and someone I really look up to, and I just want you to know that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Debbie. You've always been an inspiration. From the first day I met you, you've never changed, and always like you're always just pushing us to be the best that we can be. Thank you.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing those amazing presentations. Terry, Dominique, Miss Sharon, Miss Debbie, Camilla, Cami, thank you all so very much. And thank you, Holly, for being able to join us. I think she jumped off. We will see you back at 3 to be able to celebrate with you. And we look forward to you participating next year as mentors for new leaders joining on as they join into this process. So I will see you guys later at 3 and enjoy the rest of your day until I see you later on. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.